Hey guys, how's it going? We're back with some more Stanley's Parable. I haven't recorded in a while. This is probably the first thing I've recorded in like a month maybe. So, we'll see how it goes. Also, I know my voice is already quite boring, but I have a bit of a cold and flu and stuff, so it's going to sound even worse. So I apologise. But here we go. Why the hell not? Let's see the good old dick of a narrator again. As far as I recall, I've done 2 endings so far. One of them where I listened to him completely, and one where I completely ignored everything. Let's watch this just to catch up to remember
This
what
is
it's
the
about.
story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number
What the
427.
fuck's going on?
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor next to his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and
I'm just gonna skip that. I seem to be... yeah, everything's jolting a bit. Hang on, we'll be back in a sec. And we're back.
this is the story
Minor
of a man named
Technical
Stanley.
difficulties.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor next to his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others
Christmas.
might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Let's roll.
And then one day something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on a monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi.
Aw,
Never in all his years at the
friends.
company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and walked out into the hallway.
okay, I need to figure out what ending I'm
Stanley
gonna get.
decided to go to the staff lounge to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself
No.
and constantly needed support and guidance from others. So the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
I'll follow him for a bit and then...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I'll get my mail. I don't have any mail. I can't even jump on this game.
As Stanley entered the lounge, he was horrified to find not a single person here. He
place
decided
is
he would walk up
filthy.
to see his boss, hoping that he would find an answer there.
Do we not have cleaners at this company?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No, he didn't. He went downstairs to...
But
clock.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, of admitting that he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, was it really worth taking that risk? All because he believed everyone had disappeared? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. Everyone I know simply vanishing out of the blue, there's almost no other explanation for it.
This is getting a bit
And
creepy.
a nagging fear began to creep up in his mind. Questions that had been there all along. He just hadn't put his finger on them yet. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down?
What the fuck?
Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
Holy shit.
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Was he just walking around in circles?
Oh,
Where
what?
am I? He thought. And the more he found himself unable to answer these questions, the more questions continued to arise, until he came to the issue that had been slowly boiling until he could ignore it no longer.
This is terrifying.
Why is there a voice in my head, dictating
Fuck off.
everything that I'm doing and thinking? Suddenly, every door slammed shut. "No!" Stanley screamed. "I need to get out of here. I need to know that there's something out there. I need to know it's not just all in my head."
I need to play
He
chess.
screamed and clutched at his skull
What?
as the voice grew harsher and
What?
the music in the background rose higher and higher. And then, moments before collapsing to the ground, Stanley clenched his fists and screamed to anyone who might be listening, "I'm not real! I'm not real! Don't believe any of it! None of it's real!" And then everything went black.
What the fuck?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She
What the-
got dressed, went to work, clocked in, clocked out, and then she walked home. But her walk on this day was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Moments after seeing him, she would turn, run to the nearest police station, and call for an ambulance. But for just a few brief seconds, she merely stood there, unable to move.
So creepy.
The tragedy was not the death of a single person.
And she's got a
It
huge
was
nose.
that she would never know this man's story, never hear in his own words what had happened to him,
Yeah, you will.
or what he believed had
Watch the
happened
good
to
old
him.
Jolly Good Gamers
For
on
to know
YouTube.
these things would be to exist inside the head of the man himself. So all she could do was observe from a distance and pity him. But Mariella had places to be and people to meet with, very important people, whose impressions of her would affect her career and indeed the rest of her life. She stood there for only a moment, looking down at the body, and then she ran.
That was a long moment. I constantly feel like something's going to jump out in this game. Okay. Let's get a different ending. That one was pretty fucking creepy. Okay.
Stanley decided to go to the staff lounge to check on his
fuck am I?
co-workers.
I hate
He never
this.
functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to
You're
him.
terrifying.
When Stanley came to a
No.
set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the employee lounge, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. So he turned left at the first open
No.
door and walked back in the right direction. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Dickhead.
Maybe this is why everyone had left. No one wanted to be around someone as bad at listening as him. And since he was walking into the middle of nowhere and thus ruining the entire story, Stanley decided that he would punish himself. So when he came to the elevator and the doors opened, he stepped inside and pushed the button to go up.
Well, better go punish myself, guys, seeing as I've already done the other one. Up. Are you ready? Are you... Where's the elevator music? Am I going to punish myself? Hello, punishment room. Oh, okay. Guess I'll punish myself now.
It almost perplexed Stanley that he had actually gone and stepped into this metal trap. After all, it should have been no surprise that this thing would lead him to his death.
What
But
the
he
hell?
thought to himself, this is simply the price to pay for ruining a perfectly good story.
This guy's
So he resigned and willingly accepted his fate, the inevitable end toward which he had spent so long stumbling. Farewell, Stanley.
Huh. Why is there a door over there as well then? Because I mean, there's...
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator
What
as
the
he sent his subject down the conveyor belt and into the enormous metal jaws.
Who the hell is
In a
this?
single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
I want some juice. What exactly is going on?
It's a shame, then, that for all his work, it was such a meaningless victory for the narrator.
Chess.
Did he really think he would accomplish anything by murdering this disposable vessel?
This game's fucking weird. TV, TV, TV. Ah. There's another one.
Every possible choice Stanley could make had been designed for him long before he ever set foot here.
Who is this
The
woman?
narrator wanted to kill him. Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start.
Beautiful. Bye, guys. Oh.
There's
There
no
goes my legs.
salvation for either of these two, I'm afraid. The narrator had as little power over Stanley as Stanley did over the paths that he walked.
Okay.
But listen to me. This story is not over. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now, and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time...
This is just horrible. What? Is that it? Is there more? I guess. Do it quit? I think that's it, guys. We'll leave it at that then. That's just... the game just turned off and stopped recording. This is just really messed up. I think there's only 2 more endings for me to do, so I'll upload those hopefully within the next week. And I'm hoping they won't be as disturbing as those 2. But like and favourite if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next thing I upload. Hopefully be out later tonight. So, yep. Goodbye.